or just there's so many variables.
So how is something right or wrong? How would you determine what's right or wrong based on what you just said?
If everything is objective, then there is no right or wrong.
Is objective or
it's
subjective?
Objective. If everything's objective, there's no right or wrong because everything is just that's.
I think I understand what
you're saying.
The way
it's supposed to be.
I don't. If everything is objective, then morality would also be objective.
Because that's everything, right?
If everything is part of a code, if we have no free will, if everything happens as physics dictates, then we have no say in the matter. So, how could anything be moral or immoral if everything is the way it's predestined to be?
Okay.
So,
if I have no free will and I kill somebody, that's
still immoral.
Why is it immoral?
Because I understand morality to be the consequences on agents. So if something harms a agent, whether it's determined or not, it's immoral. It doesn't matter whether the agent is free or whether the thing that harmed it is free. I think that it is a more moral universe where there is nothing that can force anybody to do anything they don't consent to. I don't care if there's has anything to do with free will. It's irrelevant. Why we don't need free will. Free will just isn't a part of my definition of morality at all.
Well, to use your example of a rock falling somebody's house on somebody's head, you said that would be an immoral action, correct?
Immoral universe. That world would be
universe.
immoral compared to a world where it didn't or couldn't occur.
So a planet crashing into another planet would be moral or immoral in the universe.
If it harms conscious agents, it would be an immoral universe.
So only if it affected conscious agents?
Yes.
So you need consciousness for something to be moral or immoral.
Sure. You need consciousness to have moral or immoral affect things, just like you need particles for gravity to affect things, but it can still be there if nothing's there for it to affect.
But if everything's predetermined, including consciousness, what does it matter?
Doesn't make any difference. So like if there's a baby and it's a determined baby and there's a baby number 2 and it's a free will baby, if you drown them, it's equally as immoral to drown both of them. There's no difference between which one is more or less immoral to drown. Or say you're a determined murderer or a free murderer, it's still as equally as immoral to kill either baby. Like it doesn't matter. You don't need free will for things to be immoral.
So what's that morality based on?
Evidence.
If I go back in time and kill baby Hitler, is that moral or immoral?
Immoral. It's always immoral to kill anyone for any reason.
So if I see somebody with a gun getting ready to kill somebody else and I just stand there and look at them, is that moral or immoral?
It'd be amoral. You wouldn't be doing a moral or immoral action. You'd be doing an amoral action. But it's if you shot them, that would still be immoral. It would just be a justified immoral action because you're doing it to save somebody else.
I would argue if I was watching somebody with a gun getting ready to shoot somebody and I didn't stop that person, I'd call that immoral.
So do you know what amoral means?
Yes.
And why would you think that's not amoral? Like if you're literally doing nothing, that's neither moral nor immoral. You have done nothing. So that would be amoral typically.
Typically. But extreme circumstances, I think it would be immoral to watch somebody kill somebody when you would stop them.
So like you're saying that people are obligated to do things whether they want to or not, and if they don't.
I didn't say obligated.
That's typically what moral means. Like it's immoral if you're
Well,
obligated.
typically, I see it as an empathetic thing. If you were watching somebody with a gun getting ready to shoot somebody and you didn't stop them, I think you lacked any kind of empathy, and to me, that would make you immoral.
Well, you can still have empathy and be afraid. You can still have empathy and not have the confidence to shoot somebody. I mean, neither of those things seem immoral. Maybe you just don't care, in which case you're amoral, because that wouldn't be immoral. Not caring doesn't mean immoral. Like immoral would be like, I want you to shoot that person, so I'm not going to stop you because I want that person to die. That might be immoral. But it seems like doing nothing doesn't make it moral or immoral. You're just literally doing nothing. So that would be amoral. And it could be a perfectly legitimate moral reason, like you're afraid, or it could be a nefarious reason, like you literally want the person to die, so you're not going to stop them. Like, but so just doing nothing wouldn't be moral or immoral. It'd be amoral because it doesn't tell you one way or the other.
I suppose.
Victory is mine. We can concede the debate here. We're going to go home. Thank you,
Come on,
everybody.
Tom. You can do better than that. Let's go. So let me ask you this, just to kind of maybe throw something in here that might help. Okay, so are you saying, Tom, your friendly neighborhood atheist, that possibly relations are what you're kind of also grounding the morality in? Like, it's kind of relative to the situation. Like,
Yeah.
obviously,
It's
lying
yeah.
is immoral, right? Generally speaking. But if you're lying to protect the Jew that you're hiding from the Nazis, then lying is not immoral because relative to the situation. So are you saying that morals are relative?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, like everything, you can always find an example that contradict.
So how do
Everything.
you object to that, Tom? T-Jump.
Well, I mean, you can't find a round square, and you can't find an object that is not itself. So you can't find examples of things that are break
Okay.
every rule. But I think the bigger issue here is like my view of morality. So morality are the principles that differentiate right from wrong, and we want to say is, do our intuitions of morality correspond to something outside of our own imagination? And to say that they would, like, what would be evidence that morality corresponded to something outside of our imagination is if other species developed the same pattern in morality that we see here. So like we see a pattern, like as time goes on, our view of morality, our scope of morality increases. We think that there are people who we didn't care about and now we care about. So like LGBT rights, gay rights, women's rights, workers' rights, animal rights, the scope of morality is increasing. There's a very clear pattern to how morality changes over time. And if we can see
Well,
this same pattern on other planets with other species or other animals as they evolve, then this thing that is a result, like if we see it in other animals, that means it's more than human. It's definitely not a human societal construct. We definitely see this in other animals, but it's definitely not a human societal construct because we know morality exists in, as your friendly neighbor atheist mentioned, most mammals have some kind of a moral compass. So we definitely know it's more than human. Now, if we see it outside of mammals, like because we do see it in other kinds of fish and things, then we can say, oh, look, it's not a mammal thing. It's more than a mammal thing. And if we can see it outside of like organisms on our planet, then we can know, oh, it's definitely not just a thing on our planet. And if we can see it outside of things that are evolutionary, like if we see an AI and we create an AI and just let it go off on its own without pre-programming it with anything, and it discovers morality on its own, then we can say, oh, morality isn't just an evolutionary thing. And it seems like this pattern is going to hold true across the spectrum of species in the universe. And I think this is probably what we're going to find. So it seems like this pattern in morality that we're experiencing isn't just a result of evolution. It's not just a societal thing. It's not just a empathetic construction of our minds. It is a thing, some kind of higher order emergent property in nature that is really there, and we're experiencing it, just like we experience gravity. There was something else Tom mentioned earlier, that if morality was written into the fabric of the universe, everything would be moral. Well, that's not the case. Like, not all forces in physics determine everything with 100%. So like gravity exists, but we can jump up and down, so we can fight against gravity. So if morality was a weak force, it wouldn't affect everything and make it all necessarily moral. So if we see this pattern of moral progress across species, across planets, across life forms, then this scope of morality, this morality must be something more than just a societal construct. It just can't be just an empathy thing. It has to be something more fundamental because it's the same pattern we would see across all life. Just like we could say, if we see morality in humans and in apes, then it definitely can't be only a human thing. If we see morality in our planet and other planets, then it definitely can't be just an empathy thing.
But Tom would say maybe that the value, that's what's kind of missing there. Like
Well, I want to
if
use two
if a
examples.
computer was just programmed to treat its neighbor computer nicely, it was programmed. There was no thinking involved. It was just determined. Then is that it? You would say that computer is acting morally, but there's just no value in it, no subjective sort of value. Like, would that be fair, Tom? Is that what kind of you're not seeing there?
Okay, let me use the example of the Jews in the basement
Mm-hmm.
and the Nazis at the door. 3 scenarios. Nazis come to the door and say, "Are the Jews in the basement?" Scenario 1 is the guy says no because he wants to protect the Jews. Scenario 2, he says no because he doesn't care. Just no. Scenario 3, he says no because screw the Nazis. I hate Nazis. I want to pit them off. So in all 3 scenarios, the person has done nothing other than say no. Is one reason more moral than the other?
Nope. I don't see reasons as moral. I see consequences as moral. So as long as the consequences are the same, it's not more or less immoral, moral or immoral.
Okay. Now let's look at evolution. Most wild species, for the most part, lack visual empathy because they are running on instinct, especially carnivores. Their behaviors are dictated by finding food, as most animals are. As animals become domesticated, and even there's scenarios that even wild animals, they will have moral behavior. There's an example of a cheetah that was hunting and killed a goat, and there was a baby goat. And the cheetah, for whatever reason, decided instead of eating the baby goat, it, now that its belly is full, it realized this baby goat is alone and cold, and it protected the baby goat as if it was an offspring. That's an empathetic behavior. Is it a moral behavior? So it's going against its instincts to eat. And if we look at even dogs, wolves are highly dictated by their instincts.
Scott, can you mute your mic when you're moving around because we can hear all the movements?
Sorry about that.
Dogs that are domesticated and live in people's homes, and especially if you have like a cat as pet as well, dogs hate cats, but when they grow up together, they're empathetic towards each other. They become friends. They don't try to kill each other. Is that definitely? It's an empathetic behavior. Is it a moral behavior? To not kill we call moral. Though in the wild, a dog would have no problem killing a cat, and we'd call that immoral. Morality is a product of our environment.
So it seems to me that you are not realizing that the fact that empathy is a product of our environment could be caused by something else that pre-existed that caused those feelings. So like, suppose there was a law of nature that caused our brains to develop in such a way to develop empathy, then morality and empathy would not be sourced from the brain. They'd be caused by this pre-existing law of nature, right?
I guess.
So there
I guess my point is, if a dog in the wild killed a cat in the wild, we'd call that killing. Or
I'd call it immoral. I'd say any killing.
It wouldn't be a moral judgment. It would be a behavioral judgment.
Right, because it doesn't have the cognitive capabilities.
A dog and a cat lived in the same house, and the dog killed the cat, we'd call that immoral because we'd have a higher standard for it.
So I call any killing, any conscious thing ever immoral. We only recognize certain things as immoral because of our current subjective limitations. But I'd say
Well,
any
it's
killing of
a
anything ever.
pathetic behavior.
No, I'd say that any killing of
I mean,
anything ever is immoral.
I don't see how a rock falling on somebody's head, even if it kills them, is in any way immoral.
Right, and that's because of your current social limitations. The pattern in moral progress, as we see as we go on as we gain intellectual and extra resources, the scope of morality increases. So in earlier societies, they didn't care about LGBTQ people. They didn't care about women in many cases. They didn't care about poor people. They just didn't have any moral significance in those at all. Or they didn't have, in like early tribes, that tribe doesn't matter. We're going to go kill them and take their food. So as we gain intellect and as we gain resources, we begin to see more things as being significant morally than we used to. So if that pattern continues in the future, then in the future, people will see rocks falling on people as moral and immoral, just like today we see throwing gays off rooftops as immoral, because the scope of morality will continue to increase and encapsulate more things than what we see today. So my argument isn't that you see it as immoral, because obviously you don't. The argument is that because of moral progress in the future, people will see it as morally significant, because the core of morality, what morality really is the imposition of will, like involuntarily forcing people to do things they don't consent to. That is the core grain of what morality, of the essence of morality. And as moral progress continues, we will see that be more significant or more able to be discovered by many different cultures, because their scope will grow to the point where they will see like rocks flying on people as immoral. So that's a prediction about the future. In the future, societies will see rocks flying on people as immoral, because they will have enough technological and intellectual freedom that their scope of morality will have grown to that degree.
All right, so I'm going to interject. We've got 15 minutes left before the bottom of the hour from since we started. So if you want to give final statements, go ahead, and then we'll go into our closing and then Q&A. But you guys go ahead.
So let me see if I get this correct. You see morality as a system of good or bad,
Sort of.
whereas I see morality as a system of right or wrong.
Those are synonyms. I don't see a difference between those two statements.
Well, if a rock falling on somebody's head, that's bad. But to me, it's neither right nor wrong.
Okay, so I would say that right and wrong are subsets of good and bad, and those subsets are determined by culture, and our cultural limitations will grow to recognize that good and bad are broader concepts in the future.
Well, are good things always right and bad things always wrong? I mean, to me, good and bad are different than right and wrong. Good and bad is objective, right and wrong is subjective.
Right, I see those synonyms.
There's synonyms in the same way that light and dark are the same as black and white.
Well, black and white are like examples of light and dark in a way, but like I'm going deeper into this. I'm saying, so imagine it this way. Imagine if we could make an objective morality. We could just write one into the universe. What should we make it be? Would the world be better without rape and murder?
Would be better?
Yes. More good.
If rape and murder never existed, then the human race would probably never exist.
Not what I asked. So imagine tomorrow.
Well, but I'm saying if it were written into the system, then most evolved life probably wouldn't exist.
We're going forward in time, not backwards. So we're saying from today, all of past is correct up until this exact moment, and today we're going to implement a law of physics, a new law of physics, the moral law of physics. What should we make that law of physics be? So we're not going to eliminate any species here. They're already there.
So we're rewriting it now. So from now on is right. uh, in the case of rape, I hate to say it, in a lot of cases, rape is subjective.
I don't see. So my view gives me a very clear answer here. Yes, ban all rape. Rape is impossible now in the universe, and that's a better universe. You ban all murder. Murder is impossible in the universe. That's objectively better. It seems like my morality can give very clear answers to like what morality is, whereas yours is wavering on what seems like a really simple question here.
Because there's gray areas in everything. There are no simple. I can't imagine a universe that
If raping someone would save the entire human race, would it be immoral to rape someone?
Yeah, it'd still be immoral.
Okay.
But again, so this shouldn't be a hard question. Ban all rape. Rape is by definition non-consensual intercourse. If we could stop that from ever happening in the future ever again, would the universe be better? And the answer should be yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so there is some set of principles that we could apply that aren't just subjective. It's not just your feelings. It's like we can objectively apply this and the world will be better than if it wasn't the case.
It's just it's too easy of an answer. I mean, just if doing this was, if we went through the universe that doing this was immoral, and you were blind and didn't know what this was, and you're blind and you're like, something, it's got to be really close together, and they do this. It's an immoral behavior to the eyes of the universe, but you're blind, so you don't know that you're doing something immoral. Would the universe say you're physically unable to make that motion?
Sort of. So yeah, I'd say that it's impossible to like
to put your fingers together.
So
let's you're picking something up and go, I did an immoral thing.
Yeah, so I would say that it's physically impossible to rape anyone ever, whether you intend it or not. So even if you're completely blind, deaf, dumb, can't feel anything, and you're having an epileptic seizure and are accidentally going to rape someone, the universe would physically stop you. The universe would be better if it physically could not occur. Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's one example.
I mean,
the universe would be better if rocks couldn't fall on people's heads?
Yes. The universe would be better if it's impossible for any rock to fall on someone's head if they don't consent to it. Yes.
I just don't see how that's moral, though.
Well, compare two universes. Compare a universe where people are dying every minute.
To me, that's a good or bad thing. A rock falling on somebody's house.
Right. I'm saying there's no difference. It's only because of your social conditioning you think there's a difference, and people in the future will realize, there's no difference.
Conditioning is the only thing that makes me think that there is morality.
Right.
I mean, it's
right. And I'm saying in the future there's a pattern here, and then people's social conditioning change over time in a specific pattern, and the pattern is going to change in the future to that people will see rocks falling on people as immoral. So I'm saying there's an objective pattern here. This is a thing that exists. It's not subjective, and we can measure it, and we're going to see these effects in the future in this very specific way because it's a real thing.
Okay, let me ask you this. If we were able to document everything that we called immoral and create a universe where all those things were impossible, do you think human beings with their brains would never find new things to call immoral?
Would find new things to not call immoral? No.
Because wearing a fabric with two different materials is not objectively immoral. It's subjectively immoral.
Yeah.
We've decided that it is immoral.
I'm not quite understanding your question here. So it's like, if people didn't discover general relativity, would they make up different explanations of gravity? Sure. But I mean, the fact that people make stuff up is irrelevant.
But morality We've decided what's moral and is immoral.
No, I think we've discovered it. I think it's a real part of the universe, like a law of physics and a higher order emergent property, and we're discovering it. We're not inventing it.
How is discovering to eat pork as immoral?
That's like asking, how is discovering that Plato's gravity is the correct one? Like it's
no,
not.
No. The laws of physics are things anybody. If you erase the knowledge of everything, if you eliminated humanity and humanity came about, they'd find the same laws of physics.
Yes.
But the chances then deciding that eating pork was immoral or lobster was immoral, I doubt.
So again, I'm saying morality is like a law of physics, and all of the different planets all over the universe are all going to discover it in the exact same way. Do some people get the wrong answer sometimes? Yes. Some people think things are moral and immoral, and they're not. Just like some people think that there's an explanation of gravity is the ether, and it's not.
But people still live their lives as if eating pork is immoral.
Yes, and people live their lives as if their pet theory of physics is correct, and it's not. So people getting factual errors isn't evidence against the theory. People live their lives as if the world is flat. They're incorrect. That doesn't make the shape of the world subjective. It's still an objective thing, whether or not people agree.
I don't think either one of us has budged.
No, you said I was right earlier. I recall that.
He's going to use that little clip as a little advertisement, so watch out. But anyways, do we want to go into the questions and answer, or you want to go into closing remarks or question and answer? How'd you like to
are there any questions?
I think we only have one, I believe, but I may be wrong. Why would AI share the same moral standards as humans? You could just program them to have different moral standards or no standards at all.
So the argument is if an AI was allowed to develop on its own, it would discover morality because it's an actual thing, like it would discover physics. That's why it would have the same one.
Okay, like a self-learning AI.
Yes.
That's the definition. Okay. Never mind. Skip that.
If you put an AI, if you had an AI that developed, in space, away from living creatures.
Yep.
Do you think it would develop the same morality?
Yes. If it had enough sufficient intelligence and access to resources, yes.
I don't know. I think it would develop an insect-like morality. When lacking any kind of empathy, just they would look upon each other as resources. I don't think they would develop anything that would what we would call morality, because an AI, you kill an AI, you don't kill an AI. You could take its.
Don't want to be killed, and it's immoral to kill, and they'd probably be able to figure that out pretty quick.
But I don't think an AI would have to be. I think an AI would develop in a way that you couldn't actually kill it. I don't know that an AI would develop.
Well, I'm sure if you threw it into a black hole, it's going to die.
I don't know if an AI would develop a society. I think an AI
of AIs developing societies. Like there's a specific one where there's two AIs that were put next to each other and they could communicate
that way.
What? No, they weren't designed that way. They were not designed to do that, and they developed the ability to do that. That was the point of the study, is that they put two AIs with absolutely no connection to one another next to one another, and something like that. They learned to communicate to another. They were never programmed likely split off into multiples doing different functions and then have multiple. You haven't seen Star Trek, the Borg?
The Borg? A collective. They've taken in...
What? When there's...
was made an individual. But the Borg...
So, do we have any other questions from the audience, I wonder? Here we go. Would that be...
moral to kill any conscious agent for any reason ever?
Gotcha. It's a must, and what's an ought for each of the toms at PSF?
Yeah.
Well, ought from an is if because a lot of people would say that when you're founding on objective morality, you're kind of saying that, well, yeah, you can kind of derive a ought from an is.
Well, I'm trying to understand. Are those two questions, a must and an ought? Are those the same thing?
What's a must and what's an ought?
That's.
I don't understand the difference between must and ought. They seem like the same. Like, the fact that you must do something and the fact that you ought to do something are both obligations. So they're technically, but like my morality says oughts are all hypothetical imperatives. So they're not like categorical in that you need them for morality. They're more descriptions of moral things. Once you know what's moral, you say it's not moral to kill babies. Therefore, I in the so we're like, this is our wafer. Ours tastes better than yours. Our Jesus tastes better than your Jesus.
Crack cookies, baby.
Crack cookies. Hey, we can try to get like a drug exemption because religions do get a drug exemption. Be like, we can really hook up the atheist church for sure.
Drink some ayahuasca. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's gonna be the wrap up to our show. Is there anything else you want to say, Tom, your friendly neighborhood atheist, about your platform and stuff that you're doing coming up?
No, my YouTube channel is on hiatus for a while. I got like 1,000 videos out there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just find look for Tom, your friendly neighborhood atheist. A lot of content out there already.
Well, if you need me to come on your show and argue with you again, we can do it, man. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, he says he's converting to Christianity now. His own arguments have convinced him. That's what he was saying in the pre-show.
Yep. That's right.
I sent the link to my cousin.
He did.
To see if
you said he sounded just like me.
Agree. What do you mean he's an atheist? What the hell?
Dude, so many people mad at me.
Gluten-free? No, we're going to have like tons of gluten. Like we're going to be made of gluten burgers.
Gluten burgers? What is gluten anyways?
I don't know, but it sure tastes good.
That's right.
All
right, guys. I guess we're going to break it off here. Thanks for showing up. Again, shout out to everybody that was in attendance. Had a really good time. We're going to do it again next week. We're going to find some interesting interlocutors or conversationalists who'll debate different topics. So stay tuned next week on Thursday, and we'll get it rocking and rolling for you again. But until then, guys, you have a great evening, and we'll see you next week. Later.
Well, that was fun.
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for coming, T-Jump. Thanks a lot, guys, for showing up and doing this. It's really cool.
I gotta say, T-Jump, we did a Oreo versus Hydrox test over here a couple months ago, and Hydrox won. So you may want to reconsider.
Hydrox is the original.
Yeah, the original.
What is Hydrox? That sounds like an old people thing.
Hydrox was basically the original chocolate vanilla cookie, and Oreo copied it and kind of took over the market. There's a documentary, there's a YouTube thing on it, which is interesting. So we did a home taste test, and Hydrox has got more chocolate in it, but Oreo is sweeter. It's kind of odd.
That's why Oreo wins. The sugar.
Yeah. Oreo used to be better.
Do a taste test. It'd be fun.
They changed the formula of their cream, and their cream is shit now.
Yeah, man. But have you guys ever tried?
There was a little more vanilla in it too. It was interesting.
I was eating this last night. It's awesome, man. Have you guys ever tried Tide Pods? They're fucking delicious, man.
Oh God, when that Dawn just explodes in your mouth and make all those bubbles, man. The bubbles are the best part.
The bubbles, man.
When
I'm laying on the ground choking and seeing the bubbles come out, that's like fucking awesome.
Hey, it's that Donald Trump method of inject that disinfectant, man.
There you go. Just trying to light up your ass. And
got some edible disinfectants right there.
That's right, man.
I couldn't believe someone could actually say that. That's amazing. We're learning some extreme limits to
anything that man has ever said that was really shocking. I mean, has he ever really actually said anything that shocked anyone? Surprised, sure, but eventually he was going to say that.
I mean, grab him by the pussy. That was pretty shocking. Like, did not see that coming. That was okay then.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. That's what he does. He
I
pushes
say that
the
at work
envelope
every
and-
day.
Anyways, guys, I gotta
The
go.
ladies
I got
love
my
me.
daughter here.
All right, man. Hey, thanks, Tom. I appreciate you
Uh,
coming through, brother.
Let me know next time you want me on.
Yeah, man. No doubt.
Talk to you
Yeah.
later.
All right,
Take
man.
care, Tom.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cool.
All right, guys. I'm gonna start my after show on Discord and hop in if you want, or not.
Okay.
Cool, man.
I'll see you guys later. Peace out.
All right. See you, T-Jump. Later.
That part is just black.
Snores. That part is just black.
Odd place to
Only
join the
negative.
conversation.
Yeah, only that's the only negative thing about him. That's all I can think of.
That's really a problem.
Hey Tom, how's it going?
All right. How are you guys?
Good.
8, I think. There we
You
go.
think?
Yep. I don't remember.
Oh
Nah,
shit.
fair. It's not like you haven't had 2,000 of them. I mean, shit.
Yep.
Oh man.
No, we were trying to figure out when we left a review for Simon why it wasn't going to be a 5-star review. We're trying to pick out his negative quality.
So we're
'Cause you
like
can always
reviewing.
improve.
We're reviewing Simon and we're giving him reviews as to the awesomeness of Simon.
Yes, well, Simon had one bad review today on his work performance, so he needs something to bump it back up. So we were discussing what kind of reviews we would give him on his Discord performance.
4.5 out of 5.
Was it Fef who gave him the negative review?
No.